Do you remember a time when you were a kid and you overheard your parents or your grandparents or even your great grandparents shaking their head, scratching their head, saying, these kids these days, they're just getting worse and worse, and every generation is getting worse, and I can't believe back in my day I used to do this and this, and we would respect people and we would do these things, and we say the same thing over and over every single generation. So my generation is saying the same thing about the millennials, and I told myself this as a young kid. I'm going to be saying the same thing when I grow up. I'm going to be saying these same things about my kids and the next generation down, and it's going to continue that way. As a grandparent, I'll probably be saying the same things about those kids. I thought the millennials were bad, but the next generation's even worse. Now, here's where it becomes even harder for my generation, because and the generations ahead of me, because we have this internet access. Everything's at our fingertips. So everything bad that happens is now able to be recorded on a phone and uploaded within minutes onto Facebook or any social media outlet. And then we get to see a lot more bad that happens in this country than had ever happened before. It might be at the same rate, it might be more or less, but who knows? I don't know. I guess you could take a look at the statistics and find out if crime is actually up everywhere as a whole, but I'm willing to bet that it probably isn't. And it's just our mindset. We believe that it is because we see it more fluently. We see it a lot more often, and it's because what we are subject to. It's because what we're being fed. I know as a kid I didn't watch hardly any television, so much less any news. I didn't read newspapers or anything like that. But now it's like I do it every single day because it's available on Facebook. And it's not just me, the children, the young ones that are in that next generation, the millennials and stuff like that. They see all these things and they automatically refer to this country is bad, this country is evil. And then they start throwing the religious belief that they've been taught in their mind that, oh yeah, God warned us about these things. And what does that do to you? Makes you scared, gets you worried, gets you upset, gives you sleepless nights, gives you anxiety, makes you start digging further into the Word to continue to believe these things. And don't get me wrong, digging into the Word is great, but what does that promote? What feelings are you having because of this? Are you feeling that everybody's doomed, that our country is going to go through a time of turmoil? And it could. I'm not saying it cannot, but are you feeling that that's the case? And when you do that, what are you missing? Are you missing that trust in God? Have you deleted it from your mind? I used to tell myself this all the time. We might be lucky as Americans, but a lot of these other countries that are third world or anything that are going through a lot of bad things and having a lot of really, really, really bad problems going on, are we being falsely fed that information, or is all this information true, or is it even worse than what we're being taught? And if it's worse, what makes us so lucky? We see our day and age right now. We're not third world, but we are extremely in debt. So then we take the next step and we enter in our minds, well, it's only a matter of time before we become third world. Well, this must mean Armageddon. But then you got to ask yourself, man, these things have already happened to all these other countries a long time ago. Is it because they were without God? No. Is it because they don't believe in God? No. I'm willing to bet that there are believers in every single country in this world. Every single one. And some of those countries are going through some very, very, way harder times than we are. So what's the deal? What is it? We just enter in our minds that it's coming for us, and that creates this form of oppression. We feel as though, okay, we're trying to recognize, I think, we're trying to, everything that's been installed in our minds, we're trying to create this thing this drastic thing to happen. We're trying to push it forward and say, hey, we got to fight against this, because if we don't, this is what's going to happen. We got to fight against abortion, because if we don't, God's going to turn his back on us, and he's going to leave us and separate himself from us, and we're not good enough, and he's going to destroy us like he did the world when Noah built his ark. And we got to trust him. We got to trust in the rainbow and why it's here, and we got to trust him. That's all. I mean, that's my message for today. Just take a step back, relax, and trust him, and understand that he loves you. I'm not saying that bad things aren't going to happen. We do live in bad times, and we do see things that are bad, but it's more available to us. And that's why we can stand firm on saying, yeah, this generation, man, they just don't think the way we think, and they act completely different. Well, my parents said the same thing about me. And my grandparents said the same thing about my parents. And my great-grandparents said the same thing about my grandparents. Can you guys recognize that? Do you guys agree with that? Just my thoughts for this morning. I love you guys very much. And hopefully you're having a wonderful day. Have a good one. Bye.